Barcelona have got some of the best midfielders in the world in their hands, and on paper you could argue they have the very best midfield in the world. In reality though, Xavi hasn't ever been able to field his very best midfield because of injuries. Those injuries are mainly a consequence of the busy match schedule, which makes you think, isn't there another midfielder that Xavi could use to make sure everyone gets enough rest to prevent those injuries? Well, there is, and his name is Marc Casado, one of the brightest prospects from Masia. Make sure to stay tuned as we take a look at who he is, why Xavi should trust him, and how he could fit into this team. So, who is Marc Casado? Well, he's 20 years of age and plays as a defensive midfielder. For Barcelona B, who play in a traditional 4-3-3, he plays as a single pivot, in the same role that Busquets played in for Barça. He's known for having amazing positional awareness and always knowing what's going on around him. He has the ability to think one step forward, his passing is accurate, he is press resistant, he has basically got all of the qualities that you would expect a single pivot from La Masia to have. What is also interesting is that he is Barcelona B's captain this season, which indicates that he has it in him to lead the team forward and be their focal point. Conclusion, Marc Casado is a classic La Masia single pivot. So far this season, Xavi hasn't really trusted Marc Casado yet, as he has only played 8 minutes as a substitute against Shakhtar Donetsk at home. There are multiple reasons why Xavi should definitely use him more than that. First of all, there is the busy schedule. With Gavi's injury, we've again witnessed how someone's body broke down after an unhealthy amount of game time. Earlier on in the season, the same happened to Pedri and to Frenkie de Jong. It is true that these players, apart from Pedri, might not have gotten injured if it wasn't for the international breaks. But if Xavi had rested Gavi and Frenkie de Jong a little more, would they then still have gotten injured? There is a chance that their injuries could have been avoided by resting them more, and Marc Casado is one of the players who allows Xavi to make rotations in his lineup. That's one of the reasons why Marc Casado should definitely be trusted. Moreover though, his profile is kind of what Barcelona need right now. Marc Casado is a traditional single pivot like Busquets and Oriol Romeu. Barcelona this season haven't had a blueprint midfield structure, because of the injuries and because Xavi has been trying different things in order to replace Busquets. He has tried Oriol Romeu as a single pivot, and he has tried to play with a double pivot as well. And let's be honest, if Oriol Romeu was good enough, Barcelona would just play with a single pivot like 1 year ago with Busquets. The problem with Oriol Romeu is that he's just not good enough to perform well at the highest level of football. He simply needs too much time. Oriol Romeu hasn't really been convincing, which makes you think, why doesn't Xavi just give more opportunities to Marc Casado? If Romeu was really convincing, he would be the out-and-out player in defensive midfield game in game out. That's not what it's like in reality right now. But if Xavi doesn't play Romeu, there is no real defensive-minded midfielder in that team. Also because of the injury of Gavi, who is Barca's best midfielder when it comes to ball recoveries. This is, again, where Marc Casado comes in. Barcelona don't have a proper defensive midfielder right now, and in smaller La Liga games or in the Copa del Rey, that's why if I were Xavi, I wouldn't hesitate to give Marc Casado an opportunity. His profile is not one that Barcelona have in abundance in the first team. He can be valuable. Xavi needs to rest his players and rotate enough, and the team lacks a proper defensive midfielder. That is why Xavi should trust Marc Casado more. But where exactly would he fit into Xavi's system? Well, that's kind of hard to predict given the fact that Xavi's system has been changing game in, game out this season. If Xavi would start Marc Casado, he wouldn't play him as a central midfielder. Xavi could either use him as a single pivot like he did with Busquets last season, or he could play with a double pivot and couple Marc Casado to Frenkie de Jong or Gundogan. Currently, Xavi would probably go for that latter option. A double pivot is the system he has seemed to be leaning towards lately, where one of the two players is a defensive-minded midfielder like Oriol Romeu or Marc Casado. That player sticks to the defensive midfield zone and makes sure the midfield is never too opened up, while the other like Frenkie de Jong or Gundogan gets the freedom to be the libero. That player who helps build out from the back and has the freedom to go into attack sometimes as well. Marc Casado, if Xavi would use him right now, would be the more defensive one out of the two in a double pivot. He could definitely play well in that role, and given the lack of convincing displays by Oriol Romeu in these last months, it's certainly a chance that he deserves. That was it for today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and feel free to share your own opinion in the comments down below. Força Barça, Força Marc Casado, and have a good day.